Yo, DA, I keep hearing all this talk about we supposed to be marching in Washington, D.C. on October the 16th. But why are we marching?
It's time to start building. Marching on Washington in October is 1,000,000 black men standing up for his women, his children. October 16th is the appointment, and we call this the Day of Atonement.
And what is the meaning of atonement, G?
Means to atone for wrong or any injury that you committed or was done unto you by another. Time to atone, cause we are flesh and bone of each other. This is the day of prayer and reconciliation. We have to build this nation. Where's our reparations? We ain't totally dependent on this government's help. We can pool our resources, we can do for self. Black women always stood when we wasn't strong. But this time we ask your sister, please stay home and let the black man show he love you and his children. And let him march on Washington as one in the million. One in the million. Yeah. 1,000,000 black men at once is a grand crowd. Standing for those who stood that can't stand now. Standing for justice, cause we haven't been justified. And this revolution here will be televised. Standing for all those helpless black men you hung. All black women whom you cut to kill a young. All of our ancestors that fought in your wars and died. All of our leaders you killed just to stop our rise. Open the files. Now we demand the truth. We ain't asking you for nothing, we demanding you. We sick and tired of you treating us unfairly. Now we 1,000,000 black men in solidarity. Standing now for our women, boys and girls. It'll be a shot that'll be heard all over the world. And everyone will say the black man is up and living. And I'll be damned if I miss it. I'm one in the million. Yeah. I'm one in the million. You be there. And for those who can't make it to the march, listen. Talking to Muslim Masons and all Christian revolutionaries and nationalists. Check, this ain't no Islamic thing, this is for all blacks. Every street organization, the call is on. For every black woman that will support us at home. If you can't make it to the march on this day, cool. Just reserve that day. This what we ask of you. Don't go to school on this day. Don't shop in no one store. Any needs for your house, get it the day before. Don't go to work or church. No artist, rapper, sing. Stay in the house on this day. We don't want to be seen. Why not a weekend? Why on a Monday? Some say. But we just asking if you just can sacrifice one day. Cause on the news they show 1,000,000 proud. But at home we shutting America down. Be one in the million. One in the million. One in the million. One in the million. Yeah. Check it out. Yo, this is D.A. Smart, the Black Tower. I'm one in the million. If you want to be one in a million, just call 1-900-97-MARCH. October 16th, we're going to be on Washington lawn. Demanding what's ours. Do you hear me? Peace.
All of the nations of the earth as we speak are angry. They're angry because governments cannot suffice the needs of their people. They're angry because a few have gotten wealthy at the expense of the many. And the poor and the sick and the weak and the unlearned multiply. And the value of their lives are diminished by the rich and the powerful, so that when human life is devalued, that in the eyes of man you are unworthy of the gift of life, then it is easy for another human being to take the life of another human being that he or she has devalued. Black life in America is devalued. Hispanic life is devalued. Even poor white life is devalued. There's a way that I have to behave. I'm free, but I'm not free to rob you of yours. I'm not free to take from you what does not belong to me. So if I will construct my life according to these righteous principles, then between man and man, man and woman, peace. Between race and race, peace. Between rich and poor, peace. We have our beautiful Mexican family. This once was theirs. So you can't say to them they are aliens. That's a horrible word to use for former owners. I see my indigenous family here. Many tribes, but they're really one great nation of people that now must be reunited with themselves. So it's their time now, as well as ours, that God would intervene in our affairs and bring the bottom rail to the top. The government is not rehabilitating soldiers. When they send you away to kill. When you come home, they gotta reconstitute you for civilian life again. Make sure you have a job so you can take care of your family, but they're not doing it. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, a woman can do anything that a man does, and the only thing he forbids the woman to do is the thing that degrades her. So how high can you go? High as you want to. Why would God allow the female to wear his attributes if you can't be a manifestation of that attribute? Women, you got to be set free. What God has put within you must be cultivated, must be developed, and must be used for the advancement of a nation and a world. I said to myself, Mr. President, why the hell don't you go to the wicked police department? Why the hell don't you stand up and tell them that your killing of black youth and brown youth is not gonna hold no more? Why don't you stand up? God's world is in need of a truth that will set up a government where everybody can live in peace, under real freedom, real justice, and real equality.
As part of his Stop the Killing tour in 1994, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan of the Nation of Islam said he would bring 1 million men to Washington, D.C.
We want to put 1 million black men in Washington, D.C., representing our wives and our children, to petition the government of the United States on behalf of our people. Yes, sir. That we're tired of being poor, ragged, hungry, naked, and out of doors. When our fathers' sweat and blood helped to build and maintain a country, we need to petition the government like no people have ever done before. 1 million black men.
The call was made to bring black men together as one.
Just to get men together and let them understand that there's something that needs to be done, that we ought to be doing it.
And we need for black men to stand up for ourselves, to speak up and speak out for ourselves. So I thought it was quite appropriate.
Some were skeptical that 1 million men would come on a Monday.
My first initial reaction was one of disbelief. I was like, 1 million black men coming to Washington, D.C.? I've lived in Washington, D.C. many years. I've never seen any demonstration of any group, not even for Dr. Martin Luther King, even anywhere approach 1 million people, let alone 1 million black men. It was just unbelievable to me.
As much as I love the minister, my first reaction was, yeah, right. a million men at one place. It never had happened before in history. And I just thought that was a very steep mountain to climb.
A year later, over 1.5 million men showed up that beautiful day, October 16th, 1995, on the National Mall in Washington, D.C., to recommit themselves to God, family, and their community.
And at some point, I shook hands, and then I went to where I was to sit and turned around and looked back out at that sea of beautiful black humanity and burst into tears. That was to look out and see the mass of men. Immediately, my thought was, oh, not only is this more than 200,000, this is significantly more than 1 million men. As far as the eye could see, in every direction, brothers had fanned out and had come to the 1 Million Man March. That was the first and a dramatic and everlasting moment.
Coming together, the 1 Million Man March was what theologians would call one of those kairotic points in history where God moves and you know it was nobody but God.
We pray for our men to take their place. We pray to God for them to step up as head of the family. So when Minister Louis Farrakhan called the 1 Million Man March, that was the answer to our prayers.
What happened behind the scenes to make sure the 1 Million Man March was a success?
We had to come in and meet with every law enforcement agency in America. That was unbelievable. That's the untold story. Because I still don't understand, why did we have to meet with the Army, the Navy? What did they have to do with this? But I had to meet with every FBI, CIA, you name it, we met with them. We met at the mayor's office in the conference room, and I'm talking about the place was packed with all kind of law enforcement officers, man. This was a huge undertaking. But Honorable Louis Farrakhan, with his faith, I drew from his faith, and we made it happen by the grace of God.
Did the 1 Million Man March cause a change in our men, in our communities?
We was more given in I would say a focus on ourselves and how to love each other. More men, brotherhood, striving as one cause. We was able to see that day at the mall a display of love and unity. There was nobody at that time that you ran across or that you may have bumped into that particular day that didn't say, "Excuse me, brother. Oh, pardon me, sir." It was all demonstrating politeness one to another. So at that same day, I was able to learn that the black man can get along. The black man does love each other, but the black man needs a guide and a leader to get us to that point.
There was also some controversy about the women being involved in the Million Man March. The late Dr. Dorothy Height and others played a prominent role not only in the planning of the march, but also spoke that historic day.
Scriptures say that there is a time for everything. And I think that we could say there is a time for us to feel the strength that we know there is in our African American men. I took an active part. And on that day, I said to the Million Men, "I'm here because you are here." Men were saying to me they were coming to the march. And I felt if the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan had called them and they were coming, that I wanted to be there.
I was asked to chair the local organizing committee and ultimately to be an international spokesperson. So I chaired the meeting. I traveled to some other states to help organize local organizing committees. I think we probably had more responsibility here in Washington because that's where the march was going to take place. So we were sort of viewed as the host committee, and we had a lot of extra things to do. But it was really a joy. We met frequently. Every week we had more and more people coming in who wanted to be involved. And I also want to say that we had a lot of women who reached out to help. As I think back to the committee structure, we probably had more women who headed committees than we had men.
But this was to honor Black women. This was to say, we put you in the front line when they had dogs on us in the South. We put you on the front line to take the fire hose in the face. It was little Black girls who were blown to smithereens and decapitated while they were in Sunday school. And so today we're going to stand up and be a man and take the role as protector and provider. We drove their husbands and sons to buses on that day and put their husbands, their sons, their brothers on those buses. And one of the most poignant scenes that I saw was a woman in Atlanta, Georgia, that they caught on the news. And she put her teenage son on the bus and she said, "Come back a man." That's the role of the woman.
What were some of the brothers' most unforgettable moments that historic day?
The chief of police of the Capitol Police Department had told us when we met with him in advance that a certain area of the Capitol where the grass and all that was, nobody was going to be able to stand on that. And that morning when I came over in advance, people was already past the greenery and he could not get them to move. And I didn't say anything. I said, The Capitol Police lost control of the Capitol. And the chief of police came to me as the chief of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan Security and asked me, could you please have your men control the men? And when I moved our men, the FOIN, to move the people back because they was crushed up to the front of the Capitol. And the FOIS being taught and trained by the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, moved the people back with no problem. The chief of police came up to me and it's on TV and saluted me and said, "You got it." Now that's the untold story. That's a moment I'll never forget.
Men from all walks of life came to participate in the largest gathering of African Americans in Washington, D.C. And even though they might have come for different reasons, they all agree that October 16th was a glimpse of heaven.
Although a lot of people say, why couldn't it be a Million Family March or the million, our sisters weren't included. That was a whole bunch of hype that was blown up by the media expecting any little thing to go wrong or wanting maybe any little thing to go wrong. It was a perfect day. So my whole intentions ever since I heard about it was like, it was necessary for us to be there to show that the solidarity amongst Black men.
The experience at the Million Man March, I just remember being out there and just in awe of the whole experience, just being around that many men, you know, the knowing everything that led up to that prior to the excitement around it, and then to actually have it there, be in the midst of it. It was just overwhelming. I was in awe. That's how I would describe it.
It was a point in history that was significant. And if you create something that's going to convey what the Million Man March was all about, then people will become more interested.
It was a blessed day. It felt like heaven.
By the time the afternoon came and I saw what was developing, I let all that go, because at that point, you could the spirit of God was palpable. You could absolutely tell something magical was covering that whole city, you know. And so my intention at that point was, I want that spirit in me.
So let us continue to keep the spirit of the Million Man March alive in us, our children, and generations yet to come.
Well, one of the 5 goals that we have here at the temple is each one reach one. And I think that if more of our brothers across the city in every kind of way that they can would reach out to a younger brother, we do know the great lack of fatherhood in so many of our households in the African American community. And so we have to have secondary institutions to take up some of that slack. We have had a rites of passage program here at Union Temple since 1980. It is, to my knowledge, the first of any African American church in the nation. We built a rites of passage house in Africa, in Ghana. We take our young men over every year for their final rite of crossover into manhood. There's a need for a rite of passage. You know, if you don't know when you are a man, you never know.
Well, very important, because we have to tell the story.
And those of us that know the story have to continue to tell the story. We cannot let them write a Million Man March out of history. And as long as I live by the grace of God, I'm going to tell it. And all of us should tell it. I wish it was possible that we could have captured that spirit and put it in a bottle and seal it up, because you'll never get that like that ever again. The minister said it was like a glimpse of heaven on earth.
I am a man, yes. Run, I know go run, brothers and sisters. Now go to the run, yes. Now man they stand.
No unity, no power. White power for white people. Black power for black people. 1967. The Black Panther Party. The movement. Freedom.
Let's talk about freedom.
We will not bow down to racism. We will not bow down to injustice. We will not bow down to exploitation. I'm gonna stand. I'm gonna stand.
Now this is
stand for free your mind and your soul. Yo, our story has never been told. Ladies, you got to demand what you want, and what we want is respect, right?
Come and take a walk with me. First a walk with me. See what only I can see.
Sisters, check this. Watch this.
Turn us loose, set us free from all the chains that bind me. Let us run in our own direction. Let us go, set us free from all this propaganda and lies that your people try to teach us. I know why you would like to bring us down. Because we have all the devil on you. You try to tell us that our lives don't mean anything, but we know so much better, so we're gonna take up the freedom. Freedom for my body, freedom for my mind, freedom for my spirit. All this time you've been telling us these lies, but now we finally figured out okay. You know that we would never wise up, but we'll show the how black female can do. But still you continue to keep us oppressed. But no, we ain't going out like that. Oh no, no. All these lies and all this propaganda you want us to take, we're gonna take it. You gotta take freedom from my body, freedom from my mind, freedom from my spirit, freedom from my body, freedom from my heart and my soul. I see the fear in your eyes, surprise, so cover it all. I know just who I am and what I wanna do. I can make you run, make you hide from all your ancestors' transgression that you hold inside. Sisters rising up and singing that our time is here. We're taking back what's been ours for years.
Let the heaven of a sister embrace you and praise the mother God.
All these lies and all this propaganda that you want us to say, we're gonna take out. Freedom from my mind, freedom for my spirit,
Ready for Revolution. Welcome to another edition of Classes in Session. Long live the spirit
of the Million Man March. Long live the spirit of the Million Man March. 25 years ago, yesterday, the Mall of Washington, D.C. found in varying reports anywhere from 1.8 to 2 million Black men and women on that mall that day. It was an amazing undertaking. Only God could have scripted it. Only God can make it happen. And here we are 25 years later, recommitting ourselves to a day of atonement, a day of absence, and a day of responsibility. So I want to thank all of you who participated in our version of celebrating a magnificent day, a magnificent undertaking. And we strove to give you some context to what had been seen, because you heard the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan yesterday speak about the revisionists. Some of you may have heard him last night live on the 25th anniversary celebration that took place on social media platforms. You know, the revisionists are people who are their role is to jump ahead of an impending history, manipulate its story, and therefore you would never have the fullness, the full truth of it. And depending upon whom it is that is heading that charge into history, they'll rewrite it with the hope of writing that person, those entities, that people out of history. And we've experienced that already as members of the Nation of Islam. We have come through some things. We experienced what it was like when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was literally written out of history. And all that he laid down and all that he put before us and all that he structured to show us how a nation can operate within a nation was decimated. And there was no one to tell the story, and those that could tell the story were never given a significant platform by which that story could be properly conveyed, where that message, that culture could remain intact. And so it created a lull in progress. And just as you heard the call of the sisters in 1994, 5, 6, all the way through 9, the call to freedom, the Panther story, when you listen to those various artists, those women sing from their soul, their soul. You cannot mistake what was displayed in that power of unity. Do you know when the scripture it talks about, refers to women as the second self of God? That means it's through women where the spirit and the continuity and the energy and the prayers, the answering of prayers from God are conveyed. When you look back at what the minister spoke on yesterday and then showed us a picture of Mahalia Jackson, 1963, March on Washington, the only woman to take the stage, the only woman to be in the presence of that stage on that day. And she came singing. But if you look at that still shot of her, if you look at that fist clenched and that charge and that command she was putting out there, it was beyond the song. When you look at Minister Ava Muhammad, the national representative spokesman of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and she explained in the documentary you just saw, where she witnessed sons being put on the bus to the march by their mother and said, "Come back a man, come back a man." What woman does not pray for men to come in to their lives as righteous, strong, courageous, defending, honoring, provision, providers, maintainers? There's not a woman on the planet, not one, who wants a better relationship with their partner in the world. You see, it's always been women who reminded us of the power and the majesty of God's promise. And it's always been women who could bring forth nations of the earth. And in fact, even in the Muslim history, their revision is there. Yeah, their revision is I'm talking about world Islam history, meaning that history of the growth of Islam. You know, the Muslim men are always known as the warriors, always known to take no shorts, always known to get out there and, you know, and you see all this rallying in the news when they try to create this idea of zealots, right? But the truth of the history was, and is, many men were cowards. Many men were living in comfort zones and didn't desire any more than what they had. They were cool. In the history, in the growth of Islam, you found where there was a war brewing. And the women knew if the men stayed in the villages with them, that their ranks would be decimated, everybody be destroyed. And they urged the men, go out there and defend your children, defend your community. And they were like, oh no, wait, maybe you're getting a little ahead of yourself. I think it'd be better if we just stayed here and just, you know, made sure everybody huddled close and stayed safe and all that good stuff. The men fell asleep that night. The women got together collectively, put on all the armor of the men, grabbed their weapons, ran out into the desert, and they were slaughtered. All the women were killed. And from that day forward, the Muslim men were known as warriors because they went crazy. And when you think about the sacrifice of women, when you think about the sacrifice of our young girls, when you think about women have to be both mother and father, husband and wife in a household, when you think about the pain of watching your sons go to jail, go to prison, warranted or not, and their presence is missing in their lives, when you can't explain why your sons or daughters are no longer sitting with you and standing with you, when you can't explain this stuff, when you can't wrap your head around it, when you can't make logic of it, that's when your cries get more sincere and more pronounced and more focused on the God, and then God rains down on you their solution to your cries. Dorothy Height, she lived into her 90s. A tremendous contributor to the role of women and how women should be seen. I don't think, and I'm outside looking in, of course, because I cannot be a DST, but she had done so much to nationally lift the presence of Delta Sigma Theta and all fraternities from her consistent stand on behalf of women. And one of the greatest stands that she made before the close of her life was the most controversial of the stands by supporting the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan against all those who would not embrace the march, seeking the honor of the slave master. She literally grew ill and she was visited at the hospital in Washington. That's a whole nother story. Let's talk about the power of what transpired on that day at the mall. Shout out to Brother Khalito Muhammad, Brother Mustafa, Sister Janetta Muhammad, Shout out to, hey, Brother Tyrone. Assalamu alaikum. Shout out to all of you who recall the greatness of that day, who were there. When the minister spoke yesterday in the documentary, and he talked about how the brothers came to him the night before, it was about 12:30 or so. Minister, there are 150,000 people already on the mall. I remember mentioning earlier in the day how many, Brother Minister Benjamin Chavis then, how many we saw on the mall. The minister told me to get some rest. He thought I was tripping. Oh, brother, you tired. Y'all go and get some rest. Shout out to Brother Jamil Muhammad for creating, by God's grace, an economic display of unity that has gone down in the annals of history. You all remember the dollar wave? Everybody was waving whatever they had to contribute. And as boxes and garbage bags went out throughout the crowds of nearly 2 million people, and as each one let go of their dollar or their food stamp or whatever they were offering, as soon as they let it go, they started applauding. And that went from the front all the way through the back, all the way into the trees. You look at some of the pictures, you see men in the trees, some 60, 70, 100 feet in the air, cheering. That year, 1995, found a consistent reduction of crime and conflict with the police all over the country. It was a peace be still from October 95 to almost March of 96. Now, it wasn't because police terror did not try. It wasn't because crime was not still rampant in the streets. It was a significant drop, however, but the drop came because people started exercising more intelligence and rather be in places they should be, as opposed to not being in the wrong place at the wrong time. The largest growth of church memberships, mosque memberships, synagogue memberships, organizational memberships, voter registration all took place as a result of that day. 25,000 immediate adoptions of Black children by Black men took place, showing us the possibilities of what can and should be done. Here we are, a quarter of a century later, still in need of a lot of things, but now the messages we're being reminded of, we're being reminded with a vehicle by which we can realize consistency and permanency. So many of the wicked did not adhere to the call for justice. Many did not respect the call for justice. Many continue to tighten the grip of oppression on not just Black people and Black women, but all of society. The wickedly rich did that. And now the vice has been tightened on them. You have no control of the rain. You have no control of the hail. You have no control of the snow. You have no control of the earthquakes. You have no control of the hurricanes and the tornadoes, the turbulence. You have no control of the pestilence. You have no control of that manipulated COVID-19. You have no control. And now your dollar is just as flat as a piece of paper on the ground. And you're going to see it on the ground. Did you hear the latest news report? How the federal government and the Federal Reserve, rather, has demanded that all banking and monetary institutions implement digital wallets, and they all have to have them by January. Digital crypto wallets. By January 1, every financial institution associated with the United States has to have a digital wallet. You think this cash is around forever? The cash is gone. You think the value of the cash is around forever? The value is gone. That's right, Deb Nixon. Wipe your nose with the useless paper. Now what you're seeing is a mission being married on to a vehicle by which it can be realized, because we have gold. It may come Monday night, but Tuesday, it is believed that we'll have a major announcement in the world of wealth builders worldwide, in the world of Freebay. It is believed that we will usher forth, most of us, many of us already know from the corporate call we received last week, but we're going to see that wealth transformation unlike any other time in the annals of history. We are literally in the way of the movement of money. We have a way for all of you who do not believe in recruiting, who do not believe in networking, who don't think you have the ability to convey a message to other people. That's okay. You know, we've even found a way through the grace of God to relieve you of that fear, because that fear has also blocked you of establishing a relationship with you, your household, and the economy within. Now, we'll provide for you a way where you can just be a customer of this opportunity and get paid for the rest of your life. And you can will that payment to your children and your children's children. The promise of God is being realized. And we are in the forefront of it as wealth builders worldwide, as independent affiliates of Freebay, but as people who have the desire to see a people free. We have that opportunity for you. So you pay real close attention. Stay real close, because this which is happening is going to happen with you or without you, but you'd rather be on the right side of the with you. Secure your place in heaven at once. At once. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about Freebay so you understand where we are. Freebay is an e-commerce platform from which all personal development, all wealth growth, all wealth accumulation, all of the nuances that make a people better and give a wholesome environment for which families to live is available. Every strata of growth determined for the human being will be found from the Freebay platform. Even for those who are only interested in getting money and flipping money. Well, look, there's room for that, but you have to be a member of Freebay in order to even enjoy it that way. I want you to join us today at 12 noon on our Gold Rocks presentation, www.goldrocks.info. The password, someone can supply the password, and we're going to show you step by step how you can literally pay yourself first. Which brings me back to the slide. When you have the power to redirect the madness that the world's about to experience, where you can now read about it or look out your window or watch it on television and not be affected, when you find that you can position yourself not to be affected by what goes on with the rest of the world, but position yourself where you can affect positively the rest of the world, you should take advantage of it. And when you find yourself, thank you for the password, Sister Damawi. If you don't see the password there, if you can't read or decipher it, that means you're not plugged in. Get back to the one who introduced this opportunity to you and let them know you need the password to get on Gold Rock so you can be a part of this extraordinary, overwhelming event. www.goldrocks.info. The password is, if you don't see it there, then you need to contact somebody and get it. When you exchange your declining paper dollars for its power in gold, you have positioned yourself and your family's future, okay, to enjoy peace and enjoy love. Love is where you have the combination of freedom, justice, and equality. That's love. That's what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan pushes and puts out there so strong and so hard for the entire world. Pay yourself first. Exchange that $6, $7, or $8. Exchange it for its value, its worth, its weight in gold. When gold hits $50,000, $10,000 a gram, that's $1,000 for every tenth of a gram you have. You have to know that we're being made to revisit the steps of atonement, because the vehicle to make the atonement permanent has now been put on our hands from the God that created it. Pay yourself first. The generations ahead of you will thank you later, for sure. All right. Know that class in session is available to you every Monday through Saturday morning right here on the Eric Teray Muhammad Facebook page. I want to thank all of you for the continuous support, and make sure you share it out. More than 1,000 people watched live the presentation and celebration of the 25th anniversary of the Million Man March yesterday on this platform. Thank you for making that happen with your constant shares, your constant support. And we continue to bring the facts. We're going to continue to bring those things, those steps that encourage growth and security for you, your family, and your future generations. So classes in session every Monday through Saturday, right here, 8 a.m. Eastern on the Eric Teray Muhammad Facebook page. Okay. You also want to stay tuned for all that you see featured on this card. 10:45 a.m. is the mighty power call Eastern time. And then you have, I believe, Brother Matthew Taylor is Brother Consul. One of them are handling the presentation this morning. And then at 12 noon, you have the wealth building presentation from Dr. Rhonda Hollins. And this evening, you have the 9 p.m. wealth presentation featuring Sister Lakeisha McKnight. Boy. 3 o'clock, those who are directly sponsored, you'll find that your training takes place today at 3 o'clock. And you'll check your emails for the emails that were sent out last week. Many of you will receive text messages as reminders today, this morning. You want to get it out to your teams. And then this evening, there'll be an email to all those who committed to the Sunday session at 5:45 p.m. There'll be an email offering you instruction for the work session we're doing on Zoom tomorrow at 5:45 p.m. for all those who sent your emails. Okay, I want to thank Sister Yvonne Busybird and others for helping to construct this magnificent program that's going to get us set up tomorrow. This program tomorrow will help you will help you set up your appointments for all those prospects. Everybody's goal should be able to come out of that session tomorrow with at least 10 appointments in the week, inside the week, to jumpstart your business, get others busy with their business, and create a measure of financial strength and security come the end of this month. So all of you look forward to that. And of course, we have October 24th, Saturday, October 24th, the event, second annual benefit event for surviving victims of domestic violence. That's going to take place Saturday, October 24th, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. The donation is only $12. You want to make your commitment felt at www.calfanievents.com, www.calfanievents.com. Take a strong look at this screen here. Take a screenshot of it so you'll know exactly who's who and who will be there. It will be an amazing event. I want to thank Brother Carlito and Sister Abdul Kareem Muhammad for being steadfast in the commitment to service and serve a community. Okay, so we want to make sure that you get a screenshot of that and share it out everywhere. And of course, we want you all to take a screenshot of this as well and make sure that you know everything happening in the world of WBW, Wealth Builders Worldwide. I want to thank you all for your consistent support, your consistent presence in class and session, and the ability to keep me on my post to make sure that we convey proper delineage of the message. Peace and power. Happy Holy Day of Atonement. I will see all of us at 10:45 a.m. on the power call. I will see us then at 12 noon on the wealth building presentation. I'll see those of us on under my direct sponsorship. I'll see us at 3 p.m. today, and you bring your team. You'll get that information today, 3 p.m. And then I'll see the rest of us on the 9 p.m. presentation on Gold Rocks with Sister Lakeisha McKnight. Peace and power, family. Forward.
Oh, my people, I want you to understand and know the time. It's time that we are accepted and respected by both man and mankind. You know, the scripture says that God would choose those that are despised and rejected. And we have been that and cast aside. No one wanted us, and no one cared for us. And the worst thing about it, we never cared for ourselves. Oh, but brothers and sisters, it's time now that we fall in love with ourselves and with each other. This world has robbed us of a true guide, but it's time to unite and fight hard for unity. Brothers and sisters, we must live for each other and die for each other, because that's the only way that we're gonna know the meaning of what it is to be free. Then we'll conquer fear and wipe away all our tears. That's the benefit of our unity. Oh, my people, it is written that in the last days God would come after that sheep that was lost, and he has come today, and he has given us Elijah, a man to show us the way out of the ditch of hell. So up, you mighty nation. You know you can accomplish anything that you will. So come on, let's rise again. Yes, let us build again. As our fathers built the pyramids and the Sphinx and all of the great ancient wonders. Let's rise again and build as our fathers used to do. Come on, let's unite and strive with all our might. Oh, let's fight hard for unity. Brothers and sisters, we must learn to live for each other and die for each other, because that's the only way we're gonna know the joy of being free. We'll conquer fear. We'll conquer fear and wipe away all our tears. That's the benefit of our unity. Come on, black man, rise again and build again. Rise again. The basis of unity is love. When we love each other, we come into unity with each other. And when we're in unity, we have the strength and the power to overcome all obstacles in the pathway of our freedom. Yes, brothers and sisters, this is the benefit of our unity. So let's rise again. Come on, black man, rise again. Brothers and sisters, come on. Build again. Benefit of unity. So let's rise again. And build again. Benefit of unity. So let's rise again and build again. So let's rise again and build again. So let's rise again. Benefit of unity. Build again.